Welcome, Solar here. I hope you guys are doing well today. I'm here to give you your full moon in Virgo Ascension report. It is Saturday, February the 24th as I record this. It is 12:20 my time, which means we are just 10 minutes out of the full moon in Virgo. I got started with this video a little bit later than I had anticipated, and so I actually will be recording this as the moon moves into her fullness, which might be interesting. So I want to welcome you if you're visiting here for the first time. Welcome if you are returning or if you're a subscriber. If you're a newbie here, I invite you to chill out and see if you're vibing with my approach to how I channel these energies, how I share and teach what it is I've been guided to share with you guys. I do things a little bit differently. I am not a classically trained astrologer by any means, although I joke that I do believe I was in past lifetimes. I read astrology and I read charts in accordance with what I know astrologically, but really I delve in through the tarot, through the numerology of degrees, and through the information I channel. From, you know, the planets. If I'm working individually with you, it will be your Akashics, but very specifically the Akashic records that are connected to your birth chart. That's how I roll. Okay, so I'm going to do things a little bit differently. Before I get into that, let me just say that I show up here on my channel, Solar Rises, every 2 weeks to give you guys these reports for the full moon and the new moon. And sometimes if I have more time, I'll come in here and do extras. For more access to me, you can find me on my other channel, Solar Speaks, where I tend to do videos there, sometimes a few times a week, sometimes once a week. It's been a little bit sporadic right now because these energies have been crazy for me, but you can find me very regularly over on Substack, because when the energies get too dense for me, I tend to just continue to write my way through it. So I do daily reports, well, pretty much daily reports over there on Substack that you can access as a paying member, and then you can have also some access to as a free member. So I try my best to put my work out there for everyone to have, you know, necessary access to. And I've also just reopened my old channel and I've renamed it and everything, and I am posting their audio format of some of the daily messages I write on Substack as I am able to. So you can check out that channel. It is called Daily Alchemy with Solara. I am having my first live Q&A for my Substack patrons tomorrow, Sunday, February the 25th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm looking very forward to seeing some of you guys there. For those of you who are interested in participating in a live Q&A event with me, I will be doing more of them. You don't have to be a Substack member, but this first one is for my Substack patrons, and it is part of the monthly, it's an addition that I'm adding to those of you who are monthly and annual patrons over on my Substack. I will do these, conduct these live Q&As once a month with you guys. It's pretty much, the Substack version is pretty much a space for you to come, talk, share, ask me questions, guidance, etc. The ones that are going to come up later on for the wider collective will probably have more of a focus. So there may be ones that focus on, like, what does your sun sign mean in your chart, and how can tarot astrology help you break that down, and you can bring your chart and we can talk, etc. So that's an example. I'm not saying it's set in stone, and you're always free to reach out and give me feedback on some of the things you would want to meet me with, meet me for in a live Q&A, and I will let you know across my platforms when you know, when you're able to you know, purchase entry into the live Q&A. Okay, so I think that's it. Yes, that's it. So I'm going to do things a little bit differently today, and I'm going to timestamp everything to try and make it convenient for you guys. So I did, for the full moon in Aquarius, this is my second time collaborating with Demi Peachel of the Starfire Codes to delve into the energies of the moons. We did readings together for the new moon in Aquarius and this recent full moon in Virgo, and the write-up is on Substack. And the link to the article is also on the community board. So for those of you who are on Substack, I very much can recommend the Starfire Codes, Demi Peachel of the Starfire Codes. She releases a daily channeled reading as well as other like research topics that she likes to delve into. So check her out on Substack for sure. And check out our collaboration, our most recent collaboration. So I'm going to read that article to you guys because I started making notes about it, and then I decided, no, I'm just going to read it, and then we'll go deeper into the energies, because this is just one face of some of the things I'm picking up on in today's full moon in Virgo. So we're going to do that. Then I'm going to delve into how this full moon in Virgo might be affecting you in accordance with where Virgo is in your chart. So I know a lot of the time people say, oh, I don't have any of this sign in my chart. And the truth is we have every single sign in our charts. We are all of the signs. You might not have a planet expressing itself through the sign, but you have the sign ruling a house. Okay, and that actually is quite important also. So we're going to go into that information. If you don't know what house Virgo rules in your chart, a good way to figure that out is to go online to astroseek.com or astro.com or any website you like to use for astro charts. I like astroseek.com for my daily, everyday, like checking in on the current, you know, standing astrological placements of the planets. And I like astro.com or astrodance when I want to seek out things like asteroid placements and where the fixed stars are, and, you know, they have an extended chart selection where you can see all of that in your own chart. So that's very cool. So you can do it that way, or if you want to just kind of sit down and figure it out now, you can find out what your ascendant is, and you can move through the zodiac wheel and kind of figure it out for yourself. It's not necessarily always 100% accurate that way, but you can try. And yes. Okay, so I will timestamp everything, and then I'm going to delve into the actual chart, the tarot astrology of it all. So if you're interested in just that format, check out the timestamp. If you want to, you know, not pay attention to the article, that's fine too. Everything will be timestamped. Okay, so grab yourselves a beverage because I plan on taking my time today. Okay, and you know I can get into it. I am a Virgo ascendant and I like to break shit down. Okay, so yes, I have my hot cacao, and I invite you to get your own favorite beverage too, because we're gonna, you know, we're gonna get into it today. And while I'm saying, you know, like hot cacao, beverages, etc., this is kind of the energy and the mood of this full moon. It's very much centered around finding habits, behaviors, routines that support your peace is really what it comes down to. Virgo is connected to our health and our daily routines, the daily routines that sustain our ability to thrive on all planes. And when I say all planes, I mean Virgo is responsible for helping us to establish balance in our spiritual, mental, emotional, and material realities by utilizing the power of governing self to make decisions that that honor ourselves and help us to thrive on a very unique and individual level. It's why in the tarot, the Virgo is represented by the Hermit card. It's the card of self-sufficiency. It's the card of self-liberation. It's the card of knowing how to manage your own energy so that you then know how to go out into the world and distribute it with other people and to other things. Okay, so Virgo is like a really major checkpoint. And if you're thinking about astrology from the standpoint of of how the sun moves through signs in real time versus Western astrology or tropical astrology and even Vedic astrology, that doesn't necessarily, although Vedic astrology is more in alignment with, where planets are. if you look at, let's say, galactic astrology, where you're actually paying attention to how the sun moves, the sun is in Virgo the longest out of any sign. Okay, so in Western astrology, tropical astrology, everything is divided up into 30-degree sections for each sign, okay? And as such, we break it down in accordance with the 12 months. But that's not altogether accurate, okay? It served its purpose up until this point on our ascension, but there will be shifts that are coming in how we view astrology, because as we evolve, as we ascend, so do the tools that we use, that we're going to use, that need to take us higher. Astrology has taken us as far, or the way we have been using astrology has kind of taken us as far as it can in many ways. And so there's a lot of evolution that needs to occur, a lot of bringing in the principles of everything. We don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Western or tropical, Vedic, galactic, evolutionary, whatever title, horary, they all have a value and wisdom to bring and to give us. But the whole point of ascension is to bring everything back into wholeness. And there's a lot of splits that have occurred with everything, including within the realm of astrology. Okay, so technically the sun is in Virgo for, I think it's something like 60 or 70 days. So technically Virgo season begins, I want to say, in I forget now. I don't want to give you the wrong, no, sorry, it begins in September, where we would normally see Libra start in the Western chart. Virgo, that's where Virgo begins, actually, in September, and I believe it goes all the way through to like mid-November or something like that. Don't hold me to that, but it's something like 60 days. The sun stays in Virgo, and the reason for that is because Virgo is it is that last checkpoint of self before we go out into the world. Hence the reason why it is the sign that rules collectively over the 6th house, which is your last house in the chart of self. Houses 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 have to do with you and other people and the wider collective. Houses 1 through 6 are all about the establishment of you, the establishment of your spiritual, mental, emotional reality that then caters to what you are birthing materially. And Virgo is the energy that makes sure everything is in check. Okay, all right, Virgo, and to some extent Libra, because then Libra begins to pick up where Virgo left off. So I'm going to go into this article now. So full moon in Virgo, we ride at dawn. There is a very auspicious energy surrounding this weekend's full moon in Virgo, a feeling like doors are opening to what we've dreamed as being impossible in our minds, but always knew was possible in our hearts. Lean more into the latter. Due to its mercurial and earth aspects, Virgo energy is often attributed to being one of the great thinkers of the zodiac. However, in my opinion, it is the Virgo energy that helps us to make sense of the fullness of our emotional processing, following the signs that rule over the heart and our emotional landscapes, Leo and Cancer. Both Leo and Cancer are signs that are very interconnected to our limbic systems, the part of the nervous system that stores our remembrance of our emotional experiences. Virgo is a sign we then defer to in order to know how to take that emotional history and apply it in ways that benefit and promote our independence and truth. It is why it is a sign that allows for both deep emotional catharsis and the healing of our gut or digestive system, which is where we hold the energy of both our processed and unprocessed childhood wounding. Virgo rules over our digestive system and organs, and therefore over a large part of our immune systems and health history. If you want to get to the root of an unhealthy pattern that has materialized into disorder, ancestral, personal, social, global, or otherwise, Virgo holds that recorded history and where you can access your answer and make sense of it intuitively. I feel like I should say that again. If you want to get to the root of an unhealthy pattern that has materialized into disorder or imbalance, whether it's ancestral, personal, social, global, or otherwise, Virgo holds that history. It helps you to access it. It's also why, the moon just went full 4 minutes ago. 1, 2, 3, 4 on my clock. Let's go. 12:34. It's why we're told to follow our gut. Okay, your gut is where all the information you need to make real decisions that affect you on all planes is stored. And when I say that, I mean your gut stores from this lifetime, you know, the history, your emotional history, yes. But it also, because it's the home of your, you know, your solar plexus and other parts of your energy system, it also connects you to those parts of your emotional stories across timelines that you need to access in order to learn the lessons you need to learn in order to evolve this lifetime too, if that makes sense. This full moon is full of luck and answers for those who are learning how to master this ability of following their own individual paths as guided by the lamp of their hearts, much like depicted in the Virgo card of the Hermit. The lamp that the character in this card is carrying is the light of your true sun, your heart and solar plexus energy. In the tarot, the Hermit is the number 9 card, and it speaks to those deeply intimate and personal thresholds that we must cross alone. Nothing that anybody else says or does can get us across these thresholds. We must depend on self solely. These are situations and decisions that must be decided upon internally as we stand knocking on the door of the Wheel of Fortune, which is the card that the Hermit, or Virgo, leads us to. The Wheel of Fortune is ruled over by Jupiter, the planet that rewards us in accordance with the lessons and wisdom we have either received by way of Saturn or rejected. It is to our own advantage to heed the guidance of Saturn, for she is here to help us find the divine order that aligns us with our own individual purpose and greatness. It is by and through the sign of Virgo that we learn to trust our own paths fiercely, by following our own internal guidance and trusting the light of our hearts as lamps leading us to our own unique destinies. It is the sign of Virgo that teaches us how to be radically honest with ourselves about the good and the bad, so that we may begin to apply the wisdom of Saturnian lessons and ride the Wheel of Fortune into more dharmic experiences. Virgo teaches us how to then establish personal routines that align with living out our purposes in truth. It is a sign that helps us to organize our emotional desires in accordance with the logic necessary to devise a plan that throws everything into action. Virgo is the aspect of the Divine Mother who gets us ready to go out into the world with a clear sense of who we are so that we don't become overwhelmed to the point of getting lost. Since last month's full moon in Leo, I have felt this, since last month's full moon in Leo, I have felt this motherly tenderness of Virgo rising, chiding me to look after myself and find ways to do all that I desire while factoring in sustainability and my own health. She has shown me where I need to slow down and also how I need to bring more discipline into my daily schedule and diet. She has ultimately been setting me up to be more responsible because of what is ahead for me. There is a saying that my mother often used to say, "With great freedom comes great responsibility." She's a Virgo. Virgo is the energy that prepares us to create the foundation and habits that bolster our own sense of responsibility and accountability so that we are able to hold more. I'm going to say that again. Virgo is the energy that prepares us to create the foundation and habits that bolster our own sense of responsibility and accountability so that we are able to hold more. More freedom, more personal power, more money, more work commitments, more creative projects, etc. Without the preparation and organization that Virgo opens us up to, we would not be able to sustain grander things. You may have sensed this energy of being prepared for something greater, especially since last month's full moon. That would be Virgo chiming in with Saturn and becoming cosmological spokespersons and guides for this shift. It is important to always remember that the planets, signs, and constellations are all here to assist us in getting to the wheel of fortune so we can ride the fuck out of it. They are all on our side for as long as we are advocating for self and taking responsibility for our own energy and potential. So one question remains: are you ready to ride? This full moon in Virgo appears to be opening doors to answers that your soul has been seeking. These are ideas and solutions to issues you may have been battling with across many timelines and incarnations. The wisdom to tackle these hindrances are here. With the opening of these doors come the restoration of lost gifts and powers that are actually a part of the answers and solutions too. So, are you ready to ride and rise? This past weekend, I wrote about the clearing away of matrix Saturnian ring magic. This malefic magic had distorted the natural balance of karmic laws on the earth in order to keep us stuck and enslaved in repeating time loops, or fuck loops, as Demi calls them, and I think is so fitting. For as long as we were stuck in these loops, we were deprived of the resources and powers that evolving past these traps afforded us. These loops ensured that we stayed at lower frequencies that disabled what we were told are supernatural abilities. But actually, supernatural is just who and what we are when we're functioning in our natural order. The matrix magic kept us stuck, living in distortions that compressed our energy and therefore produced low emotional states that further kept us out of the frequency we need to get to and sustain in order to unlock some... I'm going to say that again, sorry. I suddenly felt like this woozy feeling. I got a download, but I'll share it after. The matrix magic kept us stuck, living in distortions that compressed our energy and therefore produced low emotional states that further kept us out of the frequency we need to get to and sustain in order to unlock some of these gifts and powers. The full moon in Virgo is once again giving us the ability to break out of these rings and access our truths again. And that's what I'm feeling just happened. I'll share it with you in a second. The 7 rings of Saturnian magic have been broken. I should say the 7 rings of malefic Saturnian magic have been broken. And now it's up to us to decide if we're great, because Saturn thinks you are. Every decision that honors the truth, beauty, and valor of the iridescent being that you actually are brings this truth into material reality. So, are you ready to rise, shine, and ride yourselves all the way out of these fuck loops? Ashe. Okay, so I was feeling something happen just now. We're 13 minutes following the actual full moon, and 13 minutes, wow, I didn't even think about that when I said that. 13 minutes. For those of you who chill with me on Substack, you will know that I've been talking this week, especially in the Word for Your Week that I did for my patrons on Sunday. When I was looking at the week ahead energies, I was speaking about how there was this rise again of the Divine Mother as creatrix. That's the dark feminine energy from which all things are birthed and to which all must return. Okay, and then later on in the week I was writing about this extraction vortex, that it felt like the Virgo energy is opening. And I've been going into some of that recently, and my guides have been showing me that the way some of these nefarious beings and entities were like accomplishing what it was they were doing to keep us enslaved and trapped in these lower frequencies and stuck in this magic, stuck in these Saturnian, the Saturnian ring magic they had us stuck in. That literally had us in a box or had us in a jar, unable to reach the frequencies we need in order to activate our truth and our supernatural abilities was through the traveling of wormholes and illegal ports and docking stations and systems that they were creating in the cosmos. And I talked about this before in the past, how we are energetically, we are a gateway system, and there are certain stargates and ports that we align to cosmically in order to pull in information, kind of like a like a Wi-Fi router almost. I'm not entirely technologically savvy, but kind of like you pull in information and then put it out. And broadcast it. That's who you are. That's how your energy field was created, and it's been limited to only broadcast what was in the jar, what was in the box, because you lost access. We lost access to our ability to connect with our true ports, our true gates, our true stargates, and this is what Ascension has been breaking us out of. And as it's been breaking us out of this stuff, every time we break free, there has to be a clearance of what was destroyed in order to get us out. So this is what we've been experiencing a lot of recently, is the breakdown of this magic and then re-experiencing it almost as if it's in real time. What we're experiencing is the actual destruction of the magic, and now it's like, well, where is it going to go? And I had a vision of this like almost like a black hole opening up. I had this vision a few weeks ago, and I didn't know what it was, speaking to. I just kind of like filed it away as one of those things, like it will be unveiled when the time comes. And I do believe that the Virgo energy, and again, I wrote about this on Substack, and it's on my Daily Alchemy with Solara channel. Okay, it's posted on the community board. It's something about how the full moon in Virgo is opening an extraction vortex. If you want to hear the article read, or you want to read it on Substack, you can do that too. But I really do believe that this Virgo energy is what connects to the womb as not only creatrix, but womb as destroyer energy. And I'm not talking about the physical womb. I'm talking about the womb, although you can apply it to that too, because I also saw some other really cool things about our physical wombs as women and what can be done with those too, but I'm not going to get into that here. But the Virgo energy seems to work as an opener of the gates to death, almost. And the reason I say that also is because Virgo and Scorpio are very much connected. They even share the same freaking glyph, and Virgo seems to open something that allows Scorpio to maximize its potential in death, rebirth, and transformation. So it's going to be very interesting to watch what occurs from this full moon in Virgo through eclipse season until we get to the full moon in Scorpio, which I believe will be the second time we've had. No, it'll be the first full moon in Scorpio we've had since the nodes moved into Aries and Libra. So this window, this is what it feels like to me. This window that is opening up between this full moon in Virgo and the full moon in Scorpio, you could even say the full moon in Sagittarius, because it would be past the full moon in Scorpio. But it seems specifically between the full moon in Virgo and the full moon in Scorpio, there's some kind of extraction vortex that is doing some grand clearing work of the towers that have already fallen. And in that, things are going to become a lot clearer for many of us. And what I mean by that is that, especially with the full moon in Leo, we felt a lot of the collapsing timelines, and we were experiencing them as if they were real. Okay, so we were experiencing them as if they were real because they were there. The timelines were there to access in the collective consciousness, and the more connected you are to a timeline emotionally and mentally, the more you're able to pull it in, if that makes sense. So the timelines were collapsing, and whichever ones had a strong emotional charge to you, you probably began to relive some of those themes. And you may have thought that you were going backwards, and I've talked about this before, but you weren't. You were observing the collapse of the timeline for as long as you didn't bring life to it by reapplying your own emotional energy as a creator. Okay, so what it feels like now is, because that was such a battle, as these timelines continue to collapse, it feels like there's going to be a little bit more ease that's coming in, because there is something opening to kind of like suck shit out. That's what I'm seeing. Okay, you don't have to agree with me. You don't have to, you know, like, I don't know, like sometimes when these things come through, my mind is blown, but that's what I'm seeing. It's like some kind of extraction vortex that is removing the energies that are past expiration and cannot be here anymore. So take that as it resonates. It will not only be timelines between now the full moon in Virgo and the full moon in Scorpio. I don't want to say that that's the beginning and the end date, but I do want to say that's like its huge ass activation window, and we will continue to see the effects until the balance that needs to be restored is done. Okay, so what I was feeling just now was like, and then I'll get into the houses because I didn't mean to go off on this tangent. What I was feeling just now was like this, it was a breaking out of something, but it was like the adjusting to another frequency, if that makes sense. So every time you break out of a loop, you break into you either are going to stay in the loop or you're going to break into a higher reality. Okay, you can also go backwards, but let's focus on going forward here. Okay, that's where we're directing our conscious energy. You go, and when you go higher, you break out of an old loop. You've accessed a new frequency, and at first it feels unstable because it's new territory, and you have to begin to alchemize that. So what I felt just now was, collectively, I feel like the earth just went higher in frequency. That's what I feel. And it may have happened in that moment. It may have just come in as a download. I felt it viscerally. So I don't know the solar flare. I don't follow the solar flare activity at this point because I feel everything so intensely anyway. So I don't follow the weather anymore. I used to, but I don't anymore. So I don't know if... I don't know what's going on in that area, but I know that whatever is happening right now, even in that part, it's to do with helping us to push now into the higher frequencies. We've been doing a lot of clearing work to enable us to hold these frequencies, hold the light. And it feels like we've reached like another threshold is all I can say at this point. Okay, so let's get into how this moon is affecting you in accordance with your house. So before I get into that, let me just give you some more information about what it is I've been being shown about this full moon in Virgo. So this full moon in Virgo, one of its many themes, there are many themes happening right now, but one of its many themes is about getting back authority and autonomy over self. Getting back authority and autonomy over self. So remember I said that the first 6 houses or signs of the zodiac are concerned with the establishment of who you are, yourself, your energy, your identity, you know, how you view yourself, your emotional and mental truth, spiritual truth, etc., etc. Well, that begins with Aries, and we have, of course, we have the North Node in Aries, right? So, and Chiron in Aries, and they're actually conjuncting, I think, yes. Anyway, that begins with the Aries energy. And so the Aries North Node is all about returning us to our ability to be sovereign. And Virgo energy is more about actualizing and materializing that. So it's one thing to know you're sovereign, right? Aries energy helps you to know, right? It's know. I know who I am, your I am truth. And Virgo says, okay, you know who you are. I'm going to give you the tools now to begin to create and to prosper from that place. Okay, so the Virgo energy is very concerned with how you utilize the power of your sovereignty and autonomy in order to prosper in the world on all planes, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and materially. Because when you are prospering, because you're living in alignment with who you are, with your Aries energy, when you are prospering, so is the earth, so are other beings. We were not sent here to suffer and to be miserable. The Matrix wanted you suffering and miserable because that was the frequency they needed you in. That low frequency they needed you in is what allowed you to be contained in that magic to begin with. Because everything that they've been doing is frequency fuckery. Other things too, chemical warfare, you know, psychological, everything. From every level of how you function, you've been controlled. From the spiritual planes, mentally with the psyops, emotionally with the frequency fuckery, and materially and physically with the chemical warfare, the attack against your food and your resources, and then the enslavement plans of how they put you through their systems of schooling and work, etc. It's all designed to keep you locked in a lower frequency, so on every plane. Okay, so we are at this point where we are learning who we are, and Virgo wants to help you now feel free and safe enough to begin to establish the patterns you need to thrive in accordance with your own truth on all planes. And this is a big deal because none of us have had that ability up until this point. We've had, you know, bits and pieces of it. We've railed against the systems that tried to keep us locked, but now we have the freedom to do this, which is very different, you know. So, and I've spoken about this before, the shift in energy that's been occurring over the past few months, where we're no longer fighting for what belongs to us. Once upon a time, we were fighting for things. We're not fighting for anything anymore. We are standing in we're holding our ground is what we're doing at this point. And at this, you know, full moon in Virgo energy, now it's about not only standing your ground, but also welcoming in the things that want to be given to you now as a result of you having fought your way to this point and then stood your ground to maintain. And in doing so, it's like in the fighting and the maintenance of your truth, now you're going to be able to live your truth with more ease. And some of the obstructions that have been keeping you from being able to do that with ease are being removed. So a lot of you have been walking and living in your truth, but it's been a fucking constant fight, right? And now the energy is just like, nope, we'll take it from here. Everything's going to be like more, well, not straight away smooth sailing, but you're being taken to a point where you will, for as long as you're willing to continue to do the work, you know, and a lot of the work right now is just surrender, right? Which could be a war in and of itself, right? But for as long as you're willing to do that work, the ability to begin to like almost smooth sail through life the way it was divinely intended is beginning to be opened up for beings who have you know, ascended to that level. Okay, and a lot of you who are watching are the way showers. You're the ones who have made it possible now for larger groups to be able to access these energies with greater ease. Meaning you had to fight tooth or nail to get here, and you've opened the doors and the gates so other beings can get here without having to fight as hard. Okay? Yes. Okay, so the moon, the sun and the moon, in their when the moon reaches its full state today, the sun and the moon will be at 5 degrees Pisces and 5 degrees Virgo, respectively. Okay, so that's right off the bat, that's 5-5 energy. And I am going to break down the houses, but I figured I should probably break down the energies of the sun and the moon before I do that. Fives are connected to the Hierophant in the tarot, and they are an astrological degree of Leo. Okay, so we have this underpinning Taurus, Leo, fixed sign energy that is expressing itself through the degree of what is happening through the full moon today, okay? What is interesting about this is that 2024 is a year that is connected to the number 8. And as such, it is connected to the Strength card and the Star card in the tarot, which are both Leo and Aquarius energies, okay? So there is a passing of the baton that is occurring this year. There's a lot of fusion and fission and overlapping and all those kinds of energies that are occurring through many different energy windows in 2024. Because what we are actually doing is we are birthing a new golden age by going energetically back to the inception point of where we lost the old one and deciding whether we're going to take back our divinity from where we lost it, or whether we're going to continue living in wounded ego, because it's wounded ego that lost us our sovereignty. Okay, so I say that because the previous golden age was the age of Leo and the new golden age is in its sister sign, the age of Aquarius. What we are purging this year and what we are dealing with when it comes to that inception point energy that we must tackle within personally and collectively, it comes down to wounded Leo energy. And the matrix, the false matrix we've been living in that kept us stuck, actually was founded upon wounded Leo energy, and it was kept alive and vibrant through wounded Leo energy. And what do I mean by that? The Leo energy, there's two signs in the zodiac that connect us with the inner child. Leo and Pisces, okay? Pisces connects us with the inner child, realized and recovered, the recovery of our innocence, right? But Leo speaks of all the ways that we lose it, okay? And we have to begin to, the journey of recovering. And Pisces is the kind of the arrival of having gone through a cycle of overcoming something that we lost in childhood. Now, this is important to get because the matrix was founded upon wounded child energy, meaning that, and it's what their karmic fuckery was also based upon. So what I mean by that is that in order to keep the frequency low, what they did was from a very they started wounding us as children. They taught mothers how to wound their children and call it normal. And then from that wounded child template, they used all of their systems to exploit those wounds so that in adulthood, that's what we were responding from. We were constantly responding unconsciously from our wounded child energy. So an example of this is the matrix tells you your value is to be found in what it is that they say is of value. And if you fall out of the bracket of what is labeled as being valuable, there's something wrong with you, which causes you instantly to begin to reject yourself and to begin to create narratives around not being good enough, which are then fed by media, fed by family, fed by schooling, fed by systems, because you've been told that there's a limited space in which you must excel. And if you don't do it, and if you don't feel good when doing it, there's something wrong with you. Okay? So that already begins the inner conflict that causes self-betrayal. And the more you betray yourself, the more your soul opens you up to suffering to try to get you back to the place of joy. And so as children, we're taught to live away from our truths, and then as adults we're taught to continue doing that. And this is what all of commercialism, capitalism, consumerism is all based upon: the profiting off of our pain, the profiting off of the exploitation of our wounded child energy. And then if you want to take it further and you look at all of the ways they fucked with karma and utilize various loopholes to transfer karma onto other beings that didn't belong to those beings in order to offset karmic loads for them to get certain rewards materially on this earth plane, they also use use the energy of children, which is why we deal with a lot of this, I don't want to say the buzzword here, but trafficking. That's why we deal with a lot of it. That's why there's a lot of rituals and child, SACRIFICE, that happens, is because the innocence of a child is very precious in terms of true value. Cosmologically speaking, the innocence of a child has very, very fucking high value. So when we lose our innocence, we lose our cosmological value. We begin to depreciate ourselves. Okay, so one way to take your so-called karma or sins, which is nothing but moving away from living in alignment with your divine truth, is to put it on something else that has a higher value and you can get something more from. This is what they do ritually. This is why they do what they do. So there again, you can see the wounded child energy of Leo in a different way, because Leo deals with the wounded child. And now we're dealing with Pisces. Like I said, Pisces deals with the recovery of the innocence. But in order to recover the innocence with that Piscean energy, you've also got to go through those battles of really knowing how to move intuitively and overcoming the hidden enemies that want to, again, entrap and enslave you. So there's a very interesting Pisces-Leo dynamic that has been occurring throughout the ages since the previous golden age of Leo, all the way through the age of Pisces, where it was magnified, right? And now the age of Aquarius is wanting to bring things back into divine alignment for as long as we want to be in that state, right? So that 5 energy is very significant. And the fact that the sun is in Pisces today, while the moon obviously is in Virgo, is also very significant. It speaks of the changes that are not the changes that are here and the changes that now are set. This full moon in Virgo energetically is showing us that the changes that are ahead now are set. Okay, now that doesn't mean on a personal level you can't always alchemize yourself. And that's not what I'm talking about. I mean that the new earth, the rising of the new earth, your ability to live in accordance with your truth, that is a given now. It's rolling forth. There's no going back to how things were. The only way to go back to how things were is if you never left or you're still holding on. And that will be a personal choice that will not be supported anymore by the collective energies. That's what I mean. So even the 5 being a Taurus energy, which connects us to the Hierophant, it speaks about the systems, the institutions, religion, etc. It speaks about it on every level. So the things that sustain the collective energies, spiritually, mentally. So spiritually, you could say church, mentally, schooling systems, emotionally. Okay, and that would be everything that's broadcast to us. All these systems are shifting because they have no choice but to. And today marks a turning point where it's set. It's set, and not for nothing, you could say 5/5, the 5th dimension is here, and many of you have been living in the 5th dimension and have been living beyond and will live beyond the 5th dimension. The 5th dimensional energies are what are going to be established on the earth, but it doesn't mean that's what you're limited to. It just means that's going to be the new foundational energy. Okay, because many of you were born into here being 5D beings, 7D beings, 9D beings, which is why you've suffered so much, because your frequency is not designed to operate at such a low level without suffering. You can't be a high frequency being living on this earth plane and you can't have enjoyed it. Otherwise, you're not a high frequency being. Or you didn't come here a high frequency being. You've recovered your frequency, right? But the truth of the matter is, those of you who were born here as high frequency beings, y'all be the ones who had it real rough, because you can't take something vast and then put it in a container. You're going to feel that shit from the beginning. And many of you did. Okay? So the 5 degrees of Pisces is represented by the 8 of Cups in the Tarot as a minor arcana energy. The major arcana energy of Pisces is, of course, the High Priestess and the Hanged One. The Hanged One energy, oh gosh, I didn't even think about this. This is so interesting to me now. Okay, so oh my gosh, okay. The Hanged Man energy is my card that speaks of everything being an inversion. Now, the reason I'm getting so excited is because last year, between Libra and Scorpio season, I think it was Libra and Scorpio season, I was saying that every year that time, I had just begun to realize that we go through this like hanged man energy portal, right? And that's what my guides were pointing it to, the Hanged Man card, okay? Where they try to utilize it to flip the script on us again, right? It's how they would keep on resetting things. And then through Scorpio, it's a big sacrificing window, and not just because of Halloween, but just it's a big black market, spiritual black market window happens through Scorpio season, okay? And because they always will take the energies of anything, and they will use them, exploit them for their own nefarious purposes. And you do that by using an energy out of balance and by focusing on the destructive energies that sign or planet holds. And the destructive energies they hold are to wield balance. But they use them out of balance, if that makes sense. So Scorpio is all about death and rebirth, right? Things must die in order to be reborn, but things are not supposed to die untimely. The point of death is to bring things into balance, okay? But they used it in order to control, which is a completely different thing, right? So anyway, last year, I was speaking about how there was this window between Libra and Scorpio season where, very connected to the Hangman energy, where they try to flip the script on us again. And it's interesting because as we enter into Pisces season, that's what it feels like. This is the sign where they try to accomplish that also. I think also it's in Pisces season that you do Groundhog Day, and for those of you in the US and everything, it's about flipping you out of the portal is what Pisces season is about. But that flipping action begins in this window between the transition between Libra and Scorpio. So there's something, I'm saying all of this because there's something from last year, I want to say like late October, early November, that might be coming back around through this moon cycle. Okay, and take that as it resonates for you. You will know your own personal experience, but the energies began to get very heavy around that time because of the attempt to flip the script, the attempt to put people back in the box, and it didn't work. And there's something here about there's something here about like that it not working, and so the energy now almost having a boomerang effect. And maybe the boomerang effect is what is aiding to the extraction vortex, because I've said it before, you know, I used to talk about this a lot on my other channel. It's like the more that they try to fuck around, the more they actually are bringing in ascension faster, because the things that supported what they did with the collective energy once upon a time when the frequency of the earth was lower does not work anymore. And so it has an instant, almost like rubber band effect. They try to pull, the resistance happens, you and I feel the resistance, and we neglect the timeline that needs to keep the resistance alive, and so boom, bitch, the rubber band explodes in your face. Yeah. Anyway, 53 minutes in. Let me get into this energy of the moon, and then we'll get into the houses. Okay, so the moon is in Virgo. Virgo is the Hermit, as I've already discussed, and the 8 of Pentacles. Okay, so this is 8-8 energy also. I've been seeing that a lot. Those of you who know me know that the 8-8 portal for me is when you receive your galactic codes for the year. We talk about this, not only for me, many people will tell you the 8-8 portal is where you begin to receive your galactic codes for the year. Those are your resources, what you are allotted every year to thrive. And it is through that window in the end of October through Scorpio season where they try to gyp you of all of that. They start to lower your frequency through Virgo season when you go back to school and work, and everything starts to shift. The collective energy shifts from summer mode into everyone becoming stressed. First of all, excited about the new academic year, new work year, however you want to work for it, however, you know, there's always like this new beginning energy in late August, early September as summer comes to a close. And at first it's like exciting, and then it becomes stressful. And then come October, your frequency is low enough to begin to fuck with you enough to keep your frequency lower, put you through things that are designed to steal your 8-8 codes. Your 8-8 codes you must hold on to by holding on to the frequency that is needed to unlock them, or at the very least, the frequency that is needed for them not to be able to take them from you. And the only way they can fuck with your 8-8 codes is if they pull you down into like low states of like depression, guilt, shame, all of those, and you stay there. Okay? So you may have been going through a lot of shit through this window, you know, since especially the end of October up until now. This would be why, okay? This is what it feels like it has to do with, okay? So this is a time where it's going to become a lot clearer what it is that you need to walk away from. In terms of not, and it's not even people at this point, although people will show up with this energy to kind of bring it to your attention again of what is still needing to be taken care of. Okay, so there are things that emotionally we are here to resign from, and we're here to resign and walk away from these things emotionally because these are the things that have robbed us of our material stability and growth. These are the things that every time we sow, we don't reap. And that's another thing that's occurring. There's a shift in this sowing and reaping energy. Like I said to you before, the Matrix messed with karma by offloading it onto innocent beings. Okay, and in doing that, a lot of assholes that were doing really nefarious shit did not get their karma, and other people had to suffer in their place. And now the scales are being balanced in the sense that this is not like instant karmic retribution or restitution, although for some people it might be, but it's more like how they were trying to cheat karma and use you as a scapegoat is no longer working. And the only way that you're going to suffer and go through that scapegoat timeline will be if, again, you succumb to the lie, the old lie. But the collective energies no longer support the proliferation of that, if that makes sense. So an important time to know what to walk away from in terms of what is not going to bring you the harvest you want. That's the 8 of Cups and the 8 of Pentacles together. Very important to know what the hidden enemies are that have kept you reaping, have kept you sowing and not reaping. Okay, very important to know where you've put in too much effort in accordance with what it is that you've gotten back and how that's put you out of balance. Whether it's how you give to other people to the detriment of self, whether it's how you have neglected your own self-care for the pursuit of things that destroy your health. You know, all of those shadow energies and the intricacies of that, and even the foundational energies are being shown through this lunation. Okay, so remember I said the Virgo energy will show you a pattern. It will show you where something began. And the Virgo energy is very good for showing you things like, on a personal level, Virgo has been really, since the new moon in Aquarius, especially helping me to see all the ways my woundedness, my childhood woundedness contributed to disease. It's been showing me how disease has manifested off of certain experiences and cycles and energies and the accompanying, patterns that were established that then created cycles of poor health. Virgo's been showing me that very intimately. Might have been doing that for you too, or might have been another area of your life. But Virgo will show you not only the inception point, but it will show you how it's manifested in different ways so that you can then begin to take autonomy back over that story and begin to rewrite it. Because remember, the Virgo energy is very concerned about how you take autonomy and authority over self. How Virgo energy, especially through this window, I'm just looking at my notes I made here, it's concerned with helping you to align with more conscious ways of thinking and behaving so that you can now really understand how your thinking, your emotions, how your behaviors connect with the manifestation of cycles, and therefore begin to choose. Do I want to continue thinking this way? Do I want to continue feeling this way? Do I want to continue behaving this way? Because if I do, I'm feeding this cycle. Or do I want to take this energy and invest it in something else and begin a new chapter, begin a new cycle of health, a new cycle of wealth, a new cycle of self-love, whatever it is. You get what I'm saying? Virgo is taking apart the destructive cycles, giving us back the pieces and saying, here, do you want to rebuild the destruction, or do you want to take these pieces and use them to build something new that actually is going to be supportive of your ability to thrive, now that you know better, right? Now, I feel like I need to say this, and then I'm going to get into the houses. Virgo energy in its shadow. Let's talk about the shadow Virgo energies, because the moon energies will always exacerbate the shadow, and the full moon will always do that to perfection. And it's a wonderful thing, because we need to see these things about ourselves and about other people so that we know how to make informed decisions about how we want to give our energy to a cycle. Virgo energy can really highlight a lot of insecurities. Leo energy can do that too in a different way. Leo energy will highlight your childhood insecurities. Virgo energy will highlight a lot of things that have to do with motherly rejection. But Virgo energy will also highlight the patterns that have formed, that have been a result of childhood wounds that have been ensued by motherly rejection, that have then played themselves out in different ways, whether in how you've related to other people and the patterns that have been established in friendships throughout the years, etc., etc. That's what the Virgo energy, that's a shadow, right? The Virgo energy, in other words, also will show you all of the things. Virgo energy can make you feel very insecure, okay, in general, in its shadow. Because the Virgo energy in its shadow, when it's embodied by a person, will constantly make you feel as if nothing you do is good enough. So be aware of how you make yourself feel that way, like nothing I'm doing right now is good enough. You're judging yourself in that way. And be very aware of being around people who make you feel like that, who make you feel like you have to constantly strive and work for their approval. No. We don't do that anymore, boo-boo. We don't do that. If you feel we have to strive and work for your approval, then you're on an ego trip. And I'm just going to leave you in that, in your Leo energy, to work that the fuck out alone, okay? So be aware of the ways that you are doing that to yourself. Be aware of how you're doing that to others. We're all guilty of all of these things. And be aware of how other bitches be doing it to you, okay? So that you don't become a victim. Because the Virgo energy and the Cancer energy and the Leo energy, they're all to do with your emotional realities. And the Virgo energy can become, and because it's an energy that is very much about like hermiting itself, it can very much become a victim, okay, in its shadow. But the beauty of this is that, and I will always say, because there's nothing under the sun that doesn't have a purpose. There's a purpose to your victimhood. And I'm not saying that it's right that it happened, but my point is that too often people are not given the opportunity when they've been victimized to process that fucking energy, and we need to. You know, people will tell you, oh, you need to get over your story and blah, blah, blah. No, you need to live out that story. You need to speak on it, share it, go through what you have to go through in order that it no longer has a hold on you. You can get the power back you lost from being victimized, and you can actually graduate out of victimhood because you've actually fucking acknowledged the fact that you were a victim. We live in a world that loves, and this is part of the fucked up false matrix energy, it loves to victimize people and then victim shame to keep them stuck in a loop. Listen, if you've been victimized, and we all have to various degrees, you must own that. You must declare your victimhood in order that you can actually be validated in it. And once you've done that, most of the time people will let it go. Once people are given the space to be acknowledged and validated in their pain, most of the time they will let it go. Most people are not walking around trying to be in pain. Okay, some people are, but most people aren't, okay? Okay. What you are getting back in terms of the authority and the autonomy over yourself is bigger than what you lost this lifetime. It goes back to the previous age of Leo. So I spoke about this in the article also. At this point, I think I'm just going to do the houses at the end because I don't want to be jumping back and forth. So I'm sorry for the confusion. What you've lost across the ages. So I said in the article about how, you know, powers, resources, gifts, talents, everything is like open to come back to you through this window. And that's partly what it is to do with, because as you take deeper authority and autonomy over self, you raise your frequency. And as you raise your frequency, you give yourself the ability to access gifts, talents, powers, resources that you did not have the ability to access before because you were frequentially locked out. You were locked out by the frequency fuckery of the matrix, and then you were locked out also by your own low estimation of self that kept you in a lower frequency. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so we have Mercury. What we have also that's interesting right now is that we've got 4 planets in Pisces and we've got 3 planets in Aquarius, right? So we have that. I was telling you guys this one of the themes of this year is like this overlap, fusion, fission, Venn diagram splitting, infinity loop energy going on, if that makes sense. And for some of you it will, I'm sure. And so this Piscean Aquarian riding the wave of the ages energy is here in today's full moon. Okay, so we got the Sun, Mercury, Saturn, and Neptune all in Pisces, and 3 of them are in the first decan of Pisces, which is the 8 of Cups, walking away from bitches. No, I'm joking. Walking away from shit. Okay, and then the 10 of Cups, which is being reunited again with your emotional truth and integrity that opens the doors to your divine birthrights, really, is what it comes down to, the 10 of Cups. And of course, Neptune is chilling in there because Neptune is one of the main gates that makes that possible, right? Neptunian energy is connected. It's a co-ruler of Pisces, but Neptune is a planet that connects you with your divine contracts that the Matrix calls your dreams, fantasy. It's only in Hollywood in the movies, but no, that's who the fuck you actually are. And Neptune helps to remind you of that. That's why Neptune is the hanged man. So everything in the Matrix is back to front, right? Back to front, upside down, inside out, a fucking inversion. And so Neptunian energy helps you to connect with the truth. And then the Matrix will tell you, you're out of it. Of course, to try to keep you out of the truth. So we got 4 planets in Pisces, and then we got, or 3 planets in 1 luminary. Then we've got 3 planets in Aquarius. So we got, you know, an Aquarius and a Pisces stellium happening. And last weekend we had the Aquarius stellium with 5 4 planets and 1 luminary in Aquarius last week. So very heavy passing of the baton energies, like I was saying. Passing of the baton. Be very aware also of the shadow energies of Aquarius that are going to be wanting to play out, because what's happening right now, very interestingly enough, is that the shadow energies of Aquarius are meeting the shadow energies of Pisces, and they are having a party. So one of the shadow energies of Aquarius is the using technology malefically and using group energies maliciously. And one of the shadow energies of Pisces is trying to control other people and keep them stuck in things that they don't want to be in, right? And so you might have noticed over the past week or so the influx of trolling on the internet and people trying to silence other people, and not just like individual trolls, but also like group energy, people trying to get groups to be against other people, and using the internet to do it, you know, because you're not going to think that way because I don't agree with it. Okay, so don't. But fucking don't try to put me in your box. I don't need to be in the fucking box with you just because you want to stay in the box. Stay in the box. Stay. I'll bring you some hot cacao in the box. But don't you dare fucking try and put me in that box with you. And here's the thing: it's like people trying to put other people in a box that they're too afraid to get out of, right? And then using technology to rally, you know, their other cowardly supporters. That's something I noticed. Okay, so that would be one example of the shadow energies of Aquarius and Pisces joining together. And of course, that's also the shadow energies of Leo and Virgo are in there too. Like Leo is just like the inner child that doesn't know how to properly express itself. Shadow energies of Leo. And then the dominating energies of Virgo are in there too. You know, Virgo likes to dominate and criticize in its shadow. And again, let me just put it out there so nobody says I don't like Virgos. I am a Virgo ascendant. I love Virgos. My daughter's a Virgo. My mother's a Virgo. I just know the shadow energy of Virgo intricately, just like I know many of the other signs too, because that's what we need to know in order to overcome. So if you take offense to me speaking about the shadow energies of a sign, then I'm not the reader for you or the energy reporter for you, because we deal with everything here. We're overcoming, we're rising, we're ascending. And the only way to do that is to be honest about all of our shit. So if you still want to hide and pretend like your shit don't stink, then again, go and do that alone in a box. I'll bring you a cup of cacao, but I'm not staying over, okay? Whew. Yes, we are 1 hour, 12 minutes in. Wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to, I don't know if I should go into all of this because we're already so far into this. I do want to speak a little bit about this Venus-Mars conjunction that just occurred, and I didn't even realize it happened on the 222 portal. I went back and I looked at it today and noticed that it happened at 7 degrees Aquarius, which to me is very interesting because I've been seeing that 77777 sequence for weeks, past couple of weeks. I spoke about it on my Substack, and whenever I see the sevens come together, it's Saturn. It's things are being put into order. And so with Mars and Venus, this is again highlighting the activation of a window that has opened where there is no more going back to having to war for living beautifully. It is your birthright, unless you want to fight that battle, and you will be fighting it mostly against yourself at this point. Because again, with that 7-7 Mars and Venus meeting at the 7 degree of Aquarius energy, while the moon, this was really interesting, while the moon was at 11 degrees Leo, and 11 is a master degree, and it is 6 of Wands energy. Okay, 6 of Wands is the 8-8 portal deacon. So much going on through that conjunction, right? To reestablish your right to live beautifully. And Mars fighting, Venus on board, they're having a kiss and a smooch. You're like, let's bring this age of Aquarius in, let's make a baby. Maybe they did on Thursday, I don't know, let's hope so. you know. But yeah, Mars and Venus completely, you know, completely in alignment with the purpose that is to come forth now in this age. You know, so, and they're both still in Aquarius. That's Five of Swords energy. So this is like an end to the fuckery. The Five of Swords energy is all of the ways these systems especially have tried to steal your power from you without you knowing. And then they've used other people in your life to continue their agendas. And for the longest time, you thought it was just the people. And really, it's a whole system and network that goes back to the root of an energy. And we done gotten to the root. And we're no longer going to be disempowered by powerless people who like to put on, you know, like fucking KKK members, like masks and shit, and they got to hide behind other people and pretend like they're powerful because they're not, because real power doesn't require you to diminish someone else to make you feel powerful. Fuck that. So the Five of Swords, Mars and Venus meeting at that place at the Seven. Seven is also connected to Libran energy. So this is about the balancing of scales, justice. Seven is Saturnian energy, divine order, you know, karmic justice, karmic balance being restored by force if necessary. And the Seven is connected to the Chariot also. So this is all about the recuperation and restoration of the balance you need for your light body to go forth and to function properly. That's the Chariot energy. Okay, so we've had that happen 2 days ago on a gateway day, on the 222 day, and then 2 days later we have like whoosh, full moon in Virgo. Fire some shit out that doesn't need to be there anymore. We've opened a gate, or we've reached a higher frequency, or we've established a new activation. Everything that's going to stop that activation from being successful, this full moon in Virgo is going to start to open what needs to be opened in order to clear that shit out. It's a new fucking day. Okay? Okay. So Venus and Mars are still in the first decan of Aquarius. So Venus is now at 9 degrees. So this is 9 is the degree of liberation. It's a Virgo degree also. Degree of liberation in the planet, in one of the signs of liberation. So what are we being liberated from? The things that made us feel ugly. The things that robbed us of beauty. The things that kept us from living beautifully and thriving in the way that it was divinely intended. Okay, and Mars is right behind, 8 degrees of Aquarius. 8 is a strength card, pushing through the density, pushing through the childhood wounding and programming that would cause us ourselves to keep self out of accessing this beauty that wants to come forth. Mars is fighting for us and helping us and showing us how to fight for ourselves and even for one another in ways that are beneficial to our own sense of autonomy and sovereignty. And now Jupiter is at the 10-degree mark. Okay, so it's moving into the second decan. Out of the Five of Pentacles, lack, narratives, right? Being left in the cold. And now moving into the Six of Pentacles when shit starts to become balanced in real time. And Jupiter again is the giver of rewards. There's a very grand balancing that's happening through this full moon in Virgo in order to restore your right to your dharmic way of living, and also to restore your right to the true value you hold and the rewards that are due you based upon your real value and not what the Matrix tried to steal from you and blind you to. Okay, so the Matrix tried to make you think that you had no value, and in buying that, you had no access or claims to your value. Now those false Matrix illusions have gone, and you're able to rise back into your truth and your power. And as you rise back into your cosmological truth and your power, then you begin to see and know and live and embody your value and begin to be rewarded for who you are in accordance with your true cosmological value, as opposed to the fucked up, rigged value system of the false Matrix. Okay, so I think I'm going to end there with the planets. We do have the North Node. This is the last thing, and then we're going to get into the houses. We have the North Node in Aries and the South Node in Libra at 17 degrees, respectively. And so that is 4 of Wands and 4 of Swords. This is, again, through this second decan, things are being established in terms of your own liberation, your own sovereignty, and even the way that now is expressed with others, okay? The wounding that kept us constantly sacrificing self, betraying self in order to be accepted and fit into the group. Those narratives are dying because they weren't real to begin with. You were not sent here to live in this false matrix idea of what friendships are. That's not how it is. You know, you're here to experience the beauty and the wholeness of people, not to take it away from them or have them take it away from you under the guise of these fake social groups where there's just a whole bunch of energy harvesting happening that is designed to keep people all in a lower frequency. That's not the point. In your divine truth, you are completely self-sufficient, and so is everyone else. And therefore, you get to be in the company of people because you actually like being in their company, and you don't need to use them for anything. You don't need to use them to climb higher socially. You don't need to use them for money. You don't need to use them to feel loved. Everything that you were using people for and they were using you for before, consciously, unconsciously, it doesn't fucking matter. It's already within you. And you have or you are unlocking that. And that's the key, right? And the 17, of course, is Aquarius energy. The star, but it's also, again, a Leo degree. 17 is a Leo degree astrologically, but it's connected to the star card in the tarot. So we've got that Leo Aquarius action happening again with the nodes, the golden age, the passing of the baton, the shift that has to occur in order to recover and regain our sovereignty back from these fucked up templates. Self-sacrifice and sacrificing others. There will be no more of that unless you want to. You know, Pisces is the energy also of sacrifice and martyrdom. That's why they sold you the story of Jesus. That's not Yeshua, that story that they sold you, okay? Where you're supposed to sacrifice yourself for everyone else. Fuck that shit. Sacrifice yourself for everyone else if you want to stay miserable, resentful, bitter, and stuck in the matrix. But pretending. Look at me, I'm so pious. Fuck that. Fuck that. Okay, so let me take a sip of my now not so hot cacao. And let me take a breath. Because that was a lot. I hope it was helpful. I had a lot to share with you guys today. A lot, because I felt like I had to go into some of the things I've been writing about too, and to share. For those of you who aren't aware, but even for those of you who are, because everything is tied together, you know. So let's get into the houses, okay? So Virgo, how this full moon is going to affect you by your house. So if you're, let me get back my notes, 1 second. If your first house is ruled by Virgo, which would make Virgo likely your ascendant, and this is a moon that's all about getting back your authority and true autonomy over self, then this is going to be a good time for you to focus on the reclamation of your identity, the reclamation of who you are truly, and any distortions you still hold that are in connection with false matrix personas and identities that you're still kind of pushing because you're not fully aware that you don't have to anymore, or there's still fear that if you let those parts of self or your expression go, that it's going to put you in a place of suffering because of the way, you know, the world is constructed and all that other stuff. It's really time to delve into being wholly who you are and saying, fuck that. I have the ability to be able to be who I am and not only survive, but because I'm choosing that avenue, that's the avenue to my survival. And that's where I'm going. So in that place, you may be challenged with with ways that you still kind of toe the line and betray yourself for the false matrix agendas, you know, but these will be especially to do with things that cause you to compromise your sovereignty for others. You know, those places where you feel like because everyone else is saying it, maybe you're wrong. You know, that kind of energy. With that first house in Virgo, it's going to be very important that you stand in a place of complete self-devotion. I'm going to use that word. It's not narcissism. Self-devotion is not narcissism. Narcissism is when you are obsessed with being right and controlling other people from that standpoint. Being completely devoted to self means that you actually let other people be who the fuck they are. Okay, you don't have to try to manipulate other people to get what you want. That's narcissism. When you're fully self-devoted, then you let other people be fully devoted to self too. So first house energies. Okay, now if Virgo is ruling your second house, then this might be more about coming into a place of higher confidence in order to access higher talents and gifts and even resources that you have that are being unlocked through this window that are going to be dependent upon you and your ability to truly be true to yourself. The Virgo energy is all about following the light and the lamp of your heart and your solar plexus, and that will always lead you into your truth. And when you are able to recover your truth, that's where your resources lie. That's where the access to your true abundance lies, right? And so there is an opportunity to access a higher level of abundance through this full moon, but it's going to be completely dependent upon your ability to be radically honest with yourself first and foremost, and to follow your own heart and your own inner guidance, irregardless as to what other beings are saying, what you're seeing with your eyes. The Virgo energy, there's no mistake that it is Pisces sister sign. It really guides you into following your own intuition in how you create your material reality. Okay, so yes, if Virgo rules over your second house. If Virgo rules over your third house, the one thing this full moon might be helping you with is overcoming the ways you've allowed other people's mirror distortions of you to override your truth. And what I mean by that is that when we feel something about ourselves and we live in the matrix and we go out into a world full of insecure beings who have been all programmed to gain their confidence by diminishing others instead of doing the self-work, which was all of us at one point, then what they show back to you is not who you are. They will show back to you, they will reflect back to you their own insecurity. So a good example of this is social media. Okay, so you may have done something that you thought was really amazing, and for you it is amazing. And it doesn't matter how small or how big it is. If it's amazing to you, it's amazing to you. And if you have people on your social media who love you and who know you and who are rooting for you, then when you post that thing, they're going to be like, yeah, you did that shit, you know? And then you'll have people who will look at you and they'll know, some of them will know what an accomplishment it is for you, and they will make you feel as if it's nothing. And for many of you, that has been the situation. You may have not even had those people that ever were just like, yeah, you did that shit. You may have had nothing but people who were just looked at you as if you did nothing, because they want to make you feel as if you've done nothing, to make you feel bad, right? So they want to mirror back to you a distortion. They don't want you to be proud of yourself, as you rightfully should be, and as you rightfully are until you get their response. They want you to feel bad. Okay? This is the Virgo over your third house. This is something that this full moon has the potential to help you to overcome. In other words, where you still hold distortions about who you are based upon how other people have wrongfully reflected their woundedness back to you and given you their projections and deflections instead of shining back to you your radiant truth. You're beginning to see through all of those mirrors, and you're going to be able to shatter them for as long as you stand in your own beauty and you are radically honest about who you are. Virgo in the 4th house. If Virgo rules over your 4th house. This is a moon where you have the ability to break matrilineal patterns that have been so deeply established in you that you didn't realize that they were a pattern. Now, what do I mean by that? The Cancer energy, which is a 4th house energy, is the establishment of your emotional foundation. And it's from this emotional foundation that you build all of your emotional experiences. And so oftentimes, not oftentimes, all the time, that emotional foundation is founded upon your mother's emotional energy, your biological mother's emotional energy. Whether she was in your life or not, it doesn't matter. She still set that foundation in utero. Okay, so this full moon has the opportunity to help you disentangle yourself from really stuck emotional energies that had you going through cycles that you felt helpless to break out of because those energies were so ingrained in you, or you thought they were so ingrained in you, right? And they come back. A lot of them are to do with the matrilineal shit you've carried that is now able to be undone, so you can rise from that shit and take autonomy and authority over who you are without the influx of those wounded narratives that really never truly belonged to you. They only became your reality because they were the foundation upon which your reality was built, and that isn't of no fault of your own. You have no real say in that, right? I mean, you could say your soul did. Your soul knew it wanted to, but when we're speaking about it on a material level, even then you don't really know how a being is going to respond to you or how they're going to act. So what I mean by that is we can choose our mothers hoping that they're going to bring something out of us, but they have free will. They can either bring out karmic lessons or they can help us rise in our power. We all have that free will choice. So either way, if Virgo rules your 4th house, you have the ability through this full moon to let go of some really, really deep emotional patterning that you've been carrying that probably is part of your matrilineal heritage that you may have felt like you just would never be able to relinquish it. Or for some of you, you might be able now to see the root of the pattern in order to dismantle it. That's another thing. But either way, this moon is catering to the dismantling and the clearing of those energies for as long as you are, again, with this Virgo energy, as long as you are able to be radically honest with yourself and to be true to yourself as you receive this guidance or as you begin to see these things. This moon, because it's in Virgo, and you know this is always the case, but especially because it's in Virgo, it will benefit you the most always when you are walking in the energy of being so true to yourself that even if you are making a mistake, you know, a mistake which doesn't exist, it's just learning, right? But let's say in your opinion it's a mistake or it's a detour, it doesn't matter because you're being true to yourself. That's all that matters. So the more you're able to do that, even if you take a detour or whatever, it doesn't matter. The more you're able to adhere to doing things from the standpoint of being true to yourself, the more the energies of this moon are going to help to activate big changes, okay? Now, if Virgo rules over your 5th house, is actually going to be a little bit similar to the Cancerian energy, except it's going to have less to do with matrilineal patterning and more to do with childhood wounds, which can be a result of the matrilineal patterning or doesn't have to be. For example, it could be how that patterning began to play out for you socially in school. Okay, so This moon has the ability to help you overcome childhood wounding, patterns, stories, narratives that you've kept on repeating throughout your adult life because you weren't able to either identify the pattern, dismantle the pattern, or see the root and the issues. And this moon is highlighting some of the ways you lost your autonomy and your authority over self and your sense of confidence based upon certain childhood experiences. And you have the ability through this full moon to recuperate what you've lost. So recuperate that lost confidence, recuperate more belief in self as you not only see the pattern, but also begin to be real with yourself and radically honest and utilize the mothering energy of Virgo, not to criticize and judge, but to nurture and to help you establish new ways of thinking about yourself in those situations. Okay. Now, if Virgo rules over your 6th house, she's very at home in the 6th house, right? Because she's that's her house. Virgo over the 6th house, this moon is helping you to get your life in order, as my little Virgo daughter likes to say. From the time she was, quick story, from the time she was like, she could talk, right? She'd be walking around carrying these things, like these items, and she was very fastidious about them, and she would sit down and she'd start writing things, like when she was able to write, and people would ask her, "What are you doing?" Because she seemed so serious. Both my children just came out like little old people, like literally like little old people. In the church, they used to call my daughter sister. She used to sit with the old women. She was like a little old woman, and my son was like a little old man. Okay, they'd be ancient beings. Anyway, they would ask her, "What are you doing?" And she would say, "I'm getting my life in order." And that to me is just like the quintessential Virgo energy, right? And she was displaying it even when she was 2 or 3. And that's what Virgo helps you to do. Virgo helps you to get your life, right? It helps you to get your life in terms of how you begin to organize yourself for excellence, for success, right? And so this full moon in Virgo is what I'm getting here is it's helping you to destroy the systemic energies that have created routines that are out of alignment with your truth. So it's helping you to establish rhythms that are true now to your ability to succeed. So some of you may have been operating on schedules and routines that have helped you to succeed in the matrix, but they haven't helped you to feel good. Something has had to be sacrificed in order for that to be upheld, whether it was your ability to look after yourself and to devote yourself to, feeding yourself properly, cooking more, going to the gym. You know, you may have had yourself in order, waking up at a certain time and, getting to places on time and being organized and showing up and doing what you had to do. And you may have reaped material success, but in another aspect of your life, you were struggling, okay? And that's an example. It doesn't have to be that exact example to you, but that's the point. And this moon wants to bring everything in balance so that you can be successful on all fronts. Okay, so you don't have to sacrifice your health. You don't have to sacrifice doing the things you love in order to give to things that only sustain one part of your reality. This moon is helping you to learn how to balance yourself in ways that all things can be sustained, and also letting you know that that's possible, because the Matrix really made us feel like it's not possible to have it all. But that's because it wasn't possible to have it all in the Matrix. But it's always been possible to have it all, right? Because you are the all. And so this moon is helping you to connect with that, okay? Now, if Virgo rules over your 7th house, then this moon is, one second, as we move into the houses of self and community, let me think about this. Or let me connect with the theme that they told me to for the houses. This moon is helping you in those areas where once upon a time you used to give too much to others. The seventh house energy is Libran energy. It is, and Libra helps us to learn how to stop making decisions that betray our own hearts by reprogramming our minds into programs and narratives that go against our hearts. So Libran energy can either take us all the way away from our hearts in its shadow, or it can be the one that helps us to excel in finding the balance, right? And the Libran energy can be very diplomatic, right? Very, very aware of being fair. But the Libran energy can be so aware of being fair for other people's benefit that sacrificing self becomes, again, another thing that occurs. And this is a theme that's happening throughout this full moon in Virgo, is that the sacrifice templates are coming to a close. Okay, which means that the ways that we used to feel like we had to sacrifice self, you know, that rob Peter to pay Paul kind of energy, it is no more. So if Virgo rules over your seventh house, this is a full moon that's helping you to bring your diplomacy into battle, and not just your into balance, and not just your diplomacy, but also those tendencies where you have to fall into going against your own heart because something seems logical or something seems right, based upon what you've been programmed to think externally, and therefore going against your own heart. That is being pulled into, it's being brought into your awareness to help you come back into a better balance that promotes your ability to be fully true to self. Okay? Okay. If Virgo rules over your eighth house, Virgo is, it's helping you to, it's very interesting. What I'm picking up here is it's helping you to develop a different caliber of intimacy with yourself. Like I said before, the Virgo and the Scorpio energy are very, very connected. And it always makes me laugh that they say the Virgo is the virgin, because some of the Virgos I've known are some of the biggest undercover freaks of the zodiac. So I don't know, well, no, I do know where they get that from, but it makes sense to me in that regard why they would be connected to Scorpionic energy. This is something to do with the ways that you have it's just the recovery of intimacy with self, but it feels like the recovery of intimacy with self that's been lost because of relationships with others, because of you know, compromise, sacrifice in your intimacy with others, whether you're dealing with a relationship or even just your sexual patterns and behaviors. For some of you, it's not, you know, and even when it comes to your spiritual practices, it doesn't have to just be sex, but it is about intimacy. You know, your ability to reconnect with yourself on a more intimate level is opening up as these sacrifice templates are shifted. Yeah. Yeah. And this energy, it feels very, it doesn't feel like the other ones felt more concrete. This doesn't feel as if it's in just one particular area, Scorpio. It's just those, Scorpio, well, it is Scorpio energy, but it's for those of you who have lost some form of ability to be really intimate with self, based upon any reasoning, whether it's devotion to work, you know, anything you've had to devote outside of that intimacy to self, is you're getting the opportunity to kind of shift that narrative for yourself, and even begin to learn how to, you know, establish behaviors, routines, mindsets that cater to you continuing continuing in this new pattern. Yeah. Okay. So if Virgo rules over your ninth house, it feels like this moon is helping to open you up to either a different spiritual practice, a higher spiritual practice, or more discipline with your spiritual practice. So maybe there are things that you know that you're good at that you haven't had the chance to exercise. Or maybe there are things that you know that you want to be good at, but you haven't had the confidence to pursue. Or maybe there are things that you know are part of your reality, and you know they might be even like past life gifts. And you've been able to, like in the past, do them sporadically, but you haven't been able to produce them regularly, and you knew there was a time that was going to come when that would be possible. It kind of feels like this window is opening up those possibilities. Okay, so yeah, and for some of you this has to do with overcoming narratives around what it means to do these things based upon other beings' projections. Like you're overcoming some of that stuff too. Overcoming other beings' projections and how it's stopped you. That could have even been a block, whether you knew it mentally or whether it was energetically, to your being able to either access these abilities or to be able to have like regularity around them, or even have a routine spiritually that you can be true to. There was a block there, and it had to do with other beings' projections, or how other people's thoughts and feelings about certain things had become established in you to the point where you thought it was how you thought or how you felt, but it's not, and so that's collapsing. So as you choose to be true to your own journey and your own path, a rhythm is going to be established very easily for you to either maintain regularity with a spiritual practice or an art that you couldn't maintain regularity with before. Okay. If Virgo rules over your 10th house, then this moon is enabling you to rise into the ability to master a part of your cosmological truth that was closed to you up until this point because of frequency fuckery. And when I say frequency fuckery, for all of you it's going to be different. For all of you it's going to be the fact that collectively the energy now supports your ability to do this. But on an individual level, this is also going to have to do with things that have been going on in your own reality, materially, work-wise, family, you know, your personal life, all of those things that would have detracted you in any way from being able to connect with this truth. And what I mean by that is, and it's not it's a little bit different than Sagittarius, and then there's some from the 9th house rather, but then there's some similarities, and that is that when you are connecting with your higher frequency truth and you are around people, beings, situations, habits, environments that don't cater to your ability to believe in that, then the work has to be done internally for you to get to a place where that no longer matters, okay? To the point where you are able to get to that frequency and sustain it, whether you are in the company of those people or you choose to walk away in order to do it, it doesn't matter. It feels like this full moon in Virgo is helping some of you to walk away from beings who you know, or from beings or from work or from whatever situations, environments, circumstances that have been hindering you from accessing a part of you cosmologically that it's been calling you, and you've been knowing it's time to rise into this place. Okay, And then for others of you, this also has to do with your stepping into like what it is you came here to do. You know, like this full moon in Virgo is helping you to take such a stand in honoring your own gifts, honoring your own purpose, that it's opening or allowing for you to walk through a door that takes you into higher into the expression of your purpose. And possibly for some of you into like a public arena. Whereas before you may have been very private or trying to keep it small, or this full moon in Virgo is I feel like for some of you it's pushing you, not for everyone, but it's pushing you out of the comfort zone of anonymity. Full moon in Virgo for the 11th house is a similar energy I'm picking up for the 10th house, but this is more to do with your age of Aquarius role, your age of Aquarius duty, your new golden age truth is coming forth through this full moon in Virgo. And again, the more you follow your own fucking yellow brick road, the faster you get home to the place where you unlock this activation. For some of you who you may have been like trying to figure out what you're here to do. You know that you're here to do something in this age. You sense it. You might have multiple talents, because most of you do. You're multidimensional beings, and you haven't known how you're supposed to use or wield that energy. And the full moon in Virgo wants to show you. Also, for some of you, the full moon in Virgo also wants to reunite you with past life gifts that are possible now for you to access because you've broken out of the karmic boxes that kept you from it. But not just the karmic boxes, you've broken away from the karmic people that were the energies that you had to get away from in order to tap in, because there are some people that you're not supposed to be around, like your own higher self knows because of your history. Unless those beings have chosen to evolve, you're not supposed to be around them, because to be around them is a squandering of your sacred essence. And for some of you, your ability to move away from those beings is helping you to rise higher into what it is you came here for. And for some of you, this moon is helping you to move away from those energies that would hinder you from unlocking, from breaking through this new ceiling. Technology might help you to organize yourself, schedule yourself. You might want to use technology. If you don't. And when I say technology, I know many people do, and maybe you already do, but maybe there's a new form of technology that's here to guide you. It could be a technology that already exists. It could be a technology you're creating. It could be a technology that you've never tried. It could be a technology that has nothing to do with hardware. You know, take it as it resonates. But yeah. Okay, and finally, if Virgo rules over your 12th house, then like the Aquarian energy, you are getting more serious about the energies you are willing to entertain when it comes to you rising up into what you feel is your purpose in this new age and world. So like I said, with the Aquarian, the Virgo over the 11th house energy that was coming through, what I said about that being that, you know, the breaking away from people can be really important. There are certain energies, karmic enemies, whatever you want to call them. They are all versions of ourselves, but they're versions of self that we don't need to be in an intimate union with all the time, because they would take us back into timelines that we've graduated from a long fucking time ago. Okay, so there are certain beings that you're just not supposed to be around. You're just not supposed to entertain. And some of these beings, the very ones you're not supposed to entertain, are sometimes the ones that are the most, they like to cling to your energy. And there's something about this full moon in Virgo that is liberating you of these stage 3 clingers. And I'm not just talking about people who cling to your energy in real time. I'm talking about energetically so. Like I was speaking in one of, I forget which one it was, when I was talking about social media. I think it was the 3rd house, Virgo over 3rd house in Gemini. I was talking about social media and how you have those beings who, and this has been coming through a lot recently. And the funny thing is, the only social media I'm on now is YouTube, which is not very highly social in my opinion. And then I'm on SUBSTACK. I think those are, and then Ko-Fi, but I'm not very social on social media, let's put it that way. I like to put out what I came here to put into the world to assist, and when people engage with me, I engage with them, but I'm not a fan of social media for many reasons. But I will say that when I was on Instagram, something I noticed and what moved me away from it, and at the time people said I was being strange, and now I hear everyone talking about it, because that's always how it goes, don't it, right? So back in 2020, I got off social media, I got off Instagram. I no longer had a private account, and I said to them, I had a sign-off note for everyone in my stories. I said, don't follow me to any other account, because I had a work account. Don't follow me to my work account if you're not coming there to support me. I'm not playing these social media games with y'all. I'm not. And I've been speaking about it for a while, but I just reached the point where I was just like, fuck you, leave me alone. You know, because you have these beings who don't want to congratulate you. You post something on your personal stories about a birthday, everyone will watch, but no one will say happy birthday. You post about an achievement, nobody says congratulations. And it's just like, but the minute you post a story, those be the first assholes in there wanting to know. And I was just like, that's not right. That's weird, because for me, when I'm out and about, if I see somebody on the train wearing a "it's my birthday" hat, I tell them happy birthday, because I wish you well. And if I can do that for a stranger, then you better believe it, I'm going to do it I do it on social media for strangers too. Because if someone's having a birthday, you fucking wish them a happy birthday if you're a nice person, because you genuinely want them to have a nice day, unless you don't like them. You know, and so if you don't like someone, why are you always in their social media, always watching their stories, never commenting on their posts, never have anything nice to say, but always fucking watching? That shit is hateration. You know, so that's the energy I'm talking about, like those stage 3 clinger energies. They won't leave you alone until you like cut them the fuck out, because they're so invested in just watching you and hating on you. They just want to watch you and hate on you. And you feel that energy, you feel their nastiness, and they just won't leave you alone. And it's just like, what the fuck? Okay, so that's kind of what I'm feeling here for those of you with your full moon. And this is probably a story, like social media is an example, but if that was happening to you on social media, you best believe how energy works is energy just continues to repeat itself to show you something that's going on in your own energy field until it no longer is, whether it's because you've graduated from it, frequency shifts, you know, like you've broken spells, you've done the healing, whatever it is. That's the only time it can then shift. It feels like this full moon in Virgo is bringing a shift. And maybe it's to do with this extraction vortex that's happening, but those stage 3 clingers that like to sit down and watch and antagonize over your every move, and they low down can't stand you, it's like they're being shifted out of your life. Especially those of you who've had this energy like haunt you, and no matter what you do, it's like you can't get things off the ground. Because what happens with that, you know, and this is why I just left it behind. Like, this is why I have no problem with just leaving a platform and starting again. Because what happens with that is that when you have that energy that is all-encompassing, then it blocks off the fresh energy of people who actually want to support you, because it's like they serve as a barrier and a block. And they're there on purpose. It's all entity work and it's all other shit that I can't get into right now. But when you begin to, then you have to go in and start to do energy work to clear that shit. And sometimes it's not worth it. It's just like, fuck it, I'll just start again, you know? But there's something about, like, if that's been an ongoing thing for you, it's moving out. They can't, those stage 3 clingers in this frequency can't cling to you anymore. They can't. Not in the way they used to. Okay? So, and even the energies, the internal energies that supported that, those things that you couldn't let go of, those shadow energies, those judgments about self, those being really critical about self, and not being able to get over that harsh self-judgment that you might have had, that you also might have extended to others. There's something about that being shifted through this energy also, for as long as you are willing to, of course, be aware and to own it, and to be, again, Virgo energy, radically honest with yourself. You know, radically honest about those things that have resided in you, radically honest about your role in it, radically accountable. Okay? And then you take back authority over your energy from those stage 3 clingers. Okay. So that's what I have for you. It's a long ass reading, but I don't know, I just felt like I needed to do that today. So it's 2 o'clock, it's 2 hours in. I'm going to get going. For all information on how to work with me, you can check out my website, solara.info. To join me over on Substack, the information is in the description box below. If you would like to donate to my work, what it is I do, you'd like to tip me, you can do so. I thank you for that. You can do so through my Ko-Fi, or you can do so through my PayPal. Those links are below. If you would like to purchase any of my decrees or my manuals, you can also do that through my Ko-Fi shop. All links and information will be in the description box below. And please stay tuned for more information about upcoming Q&As. I wish you guys a happy, happy full moon in Virgo. It's been fun doing this today. I hope it's been fun for those of you who've stuck it out all the way to the end. And I will see you next time.